Okay, quick music disclaimer here. I do not own the rights to this music, which belongs to the rightful owner, who is the intoxicating mind of Dr. Frankenstein. So he made my intro and my outro, and I hope you guys enjoy. Check them out on Spotify and YouTube, and no copyright infringement is intended. Have a good day.
A clear choice of good versus evil, of right versus wrong.
Twisted Tales.
Alright, thanks for tuning back into Twisted Tales, folks. Today's episode here, I'm going to talk about Michael Dunahee. Now, this disappearance became one of the largest police investigations in Canadian history. It received well over 11,000 tips that were called into hotlines, and was also investigated by the police department. Now, even a $100,000 reward was offered, but still there were no leads that led to anything solid for the case. So Michael was born May 12, 1986, and he disappeared March 24th, 1991. And on this day, the family headed over to the Blanchard Elementary School around 12:30 p.m. for a flag football practice. So flag football is kind of like a variant of American football. So instead of like normally tacking the players to the ground, the defensive team must take a flag or a flag belt from another player. So when the family arrived at school, he asked his mom to go to the playground that was located near the football field. Now this was where the practice was, so he was allowed to walk over there by himself, so it wasn't far from where the practice was to the playground. And his mother, Crystal, mentioned in an interview that she had a gut feeling, and that something wasn't right in her gut. So she said something didn't seem quite right about the whole situation. So she advised him that when he got to the playground, he had to stay there and wait for his daddy, his father's name was Bruce, to come hang out. Now, when Michael's dad went over to the playground to play with him, he noticed that he was nowhere to be seen. So eventually that fear of dread and panic started to set in. Police were notified, and a large group of people began to join up and start the search for him. Now, that Michael had disappeared so quickly from a public place, that police treated this case as an abduction, rather than a missing persons case. The Victoria Police Department got called in to help solve the case, and eventually it ended up hitting the news, and so like thousands of tips and reports came flooding in from places like British Columbia, all over North America. So they had to start jotting things down on carbon paper. So carbon paper is pretty much just like the shit you use in printers, photocopiers, typewriters, computer printers, all that shit. So this case kind of defied the normal investigation techniques, as there was no body, no crime scene, or any witnesses. So despite being more than 50 adults and children at the flag football event at the time of this disappearance, nobody really seen anything. It's kind of shocking. Just going through statistics here, like more than 50,000 children are reported missing in Canada each year. Most of them being found, but 3/4 of them are usually runaways or voluntarily missing, and more than half are solved within the first 24 hours. But that didn't happen in Michael's case, and that's just a sad state of events, especially for the family. Like, imagine how they feel, or how anybody would feel, going out to a great family outing to having a missing member of the family. It's just heartbreaking, and, I hope nobody ever has to go through that. And crime's been on the rise in Canada pretty hard since about, the mid-50s, 60s? I mean, even between 1983 and 1992, the rate in child abductions have pretty much increased by 65%. Over some time, police even checked with other family members, feel them out kind of thing, right? See if anybody was involved. But there were none that had any intentions on abducting Michael. So police had to investigate just every angle of the case, and just to see if anybody had a grudge against the family, but nobody seemed to have any ill will towards them. And serial killers were targeting children at that time period, but none were known to Vancouver Island around that time. So, people walked all around the neighborhood calling out his name that day, stopping passerbyers in the street to ask if they seen him. Michael's mother, Crystal, said at the time of his disappearance that 2 teams were getting off the field as 2 were coming on, and nobody had seen a thing. And even as I mentioned prior, that virtually every case of child abduction, the child is taken by a friend or a family member. And Michael's just that 1% that was abducted by a stranger, and from what criminologists call his zone of safety. So zone of safety meaning anywhere the child is in vicinity of their parents. Everyone stopped whatever they were doing and started yelling Michael's name around the neighborhood. And everything was just about the case. Everything was done by the book. Authorities were called right away. A description of Michael was given in the media, and a tip line and command posts were established, pretty much within hours. So, the first tip was from a child that said a man in his late 40s was at the park in a brown van. And police found a brown van and multiple brown vans after this, because they just went to town searching. And all the owners had been eliminated after being interviewed. And a now retired police detective named Fred Mills said that the brown van was a big thing for a while, until it could be discounted by the police. There's a lot of people that think Michael was taken by a stranger, and that he never made it off the Vancouver Island. A study on missing children stated that if a stranger takes a child, they're usually killed within the first 3 hours of their abduction. 44% are killed within their first hour. When Michael was last seen, he was wearing a blue hooded jacket, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles t-shirt, rugby pants, and blue sneakers. Victoria detectives also investigated known sex offenders in the area, but turned up nothing. Even the parents, Crystal and Bruce, were questioned and investigated, and then cleared by police earlier on. Even in 2020, a TikToker named Shanger Danger reportedly found the t-shirt Michael was wearing at the time he disappeared. It was found submerged in water, and Michael's family had reached out to the TikToker. As they saw the shirt, they realized that it wasn't the same one as he was wearing at the time of his disappearance. Poor little Michael's case remains open to this day, with police and family members remaining for a hopeful resolution. And police actually released an age-enhanced sketch of Michael to an online portal back in, 2021? And since 1991, there's been over 11,000 tips that have been submitted to police. Now, Michael's mom, Crystal, became an advocate for missing children's issues in British Columbia. She's actually served as the president of Child Find in BC. So in 2002, she helped support the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, in calls to introduce an Amber Alert system in the province. She believed that her son would have been found if the program was around. And that's an excellent point, because more people would have been on the lookout or looked for suspicious people and could notify police faster if this was available back then. The Amber Alert program has now been implemented, in most regions of Canada, and also the community of Esquimalt, which is part of the Greater Victoria metropolitan area. So this, they even hold annual charity events called the Michael Dunahee Keep the Hope Alive Fund Run, and this is to raise money for Child Find. It's actually organized by Michael's sister, Caitlin. Foul play is also still a big subject in this case. Even since his disappearance, there's been alleged sightings of him that have been reported, that he's been seen in southern New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and the Delaware tri-state area. Michael was about 51 pounds, he had blonde straight hair, he was roughly 3 feet, with a slender, thin build. He had freckles, and he was missing since March 24th, 1991. So anyone with any info can actually contact the Victoria Police Department. Contact person would be Detective Don Bland, and the agency case number is 91-10349. There's also a Facebook group called We Will Never Forget Michael Dunahee. You can check that out as well. That's all I got, buds. So I hope you guys have a wicked work week. Take care and stay safe. Hope you guys enjoyed.
As their granddaughter looks on, now silver-haired, Crystal and Bruce Dunahee take to the police podium, saying they never have, nor ever will, give up hope of finding their long-lost son. Today, they're looking for a 34-year-old man who may look something like this.
I think it encompasses, between our likenesses and our daughter's likeness, a little more realistic than what the previous computer-generated ones had done.
Using a specially trained RCMP forensic sketch artist, and with the benefit of seeing how Michael's younger sister has aged, this new hand-drawn version is being distributed worldwide for everyone to see, especially Michael, if he's still alive. His parents were asked, how long would they keep looking?
As long as it takes.
Yeah.
That was a choice that we made 30 years ago, to keep it out there public as long as, to take it this route, to keep it out there so people wouldn't forget, so that we could find Michael and be able to move on.
Yeah, basically, me and Crystal, we don't like losing. This is one battle we're not going to lose. We're going to keep looking till we get some results.
On this day 30 years ago, Crystal Dunahee had a flag football practice at Blanchard Elementary School. The family arrived at about 12:30. Michael was allowed to go to the nearby playground, but was told to stay there. At some point, he vanishes, even though there were multiple potential witnesses.
But in my 31-year policing career, this investigation is unparalleled. I have not seen an investigation, the circumstances of a 4-year-old boy going missing in a park in beautiful Victoria. And then here we are 30 years later. I never would have imagined that we would be having this press conference here today.
A new online tips portal has also been set up at the Victoria Police website. Given emerging investigative tools like commercial DNA testing websites and genealogical tracing, police believe someone knows something and can help, even this long after Michael's disappearance.
Twisted Tales.